The what kind of got me into music and everything in the first place was of course Drake Bell famous for Drake and Josh and all that. He kind of inspired me to play guitar, to play rock and roll, to juggle music and acting and all these different things, and it's just been a huge influence to me in a ton of different ways. He was my hero growing up for like all throughout my childhood pretty much, and I'm well aware that I feel like I need to talk about this. I'm well aware that there have been some, pretty heavy allegations levied against him in the past. Well, it was actually, I think, January 13th. No, January. I'm sorry. I meant August 13th. Where basically what happened was this person on TikTok that goes by Jimmy Ono had made this thing saying about he was an abusive, drunk, verbally and physically abusive, drunk, horrible person. He, all these different things, and I'm kind of of two minds about it because I can see where she's coming from, and I wouldn't be too surprised if neither her or Drake are telling the entire truth. I can see the possibility though of if she is like being 100. There are holes in the thing to me with things like when in the video she went on and she's like, oh, and I have pictures of the I guess abuse I've inflicted, and as she's saying that, she's scrolling through a flip book of happy memories of the two of them. That was kind of weird to me, and a couple other things. To me, there are a few things that are just kind of, I guess it's referred to as like poisoning the well, where she basically says things like, and when I say, so there's a part where she says, when I say that he physically and verbally abused me, just imagine the worst possible thing, and that was basically it. To me, that's kind of like everybody's going to think what the worst thing is. Everyone's going to look at that differently.
Yeah.
So that's going to conjure up the worst image in their mind, and everyone's going to have, the worst thing they're imagining, and it's whatever it was, it's not going to be as bad as whatever people are imagining. That's just how your imagination tends to work, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But anyway, and there are a few other things like that. There's also apparently screenshots of, her talking with someone who mentions his wife and different things, which he's not married, he's never been married. So there's things like that.
Psych, joke's on you, kid.
Granted, that it's possible, right, that these things happen, but I guess it's possible that he is, and it's just not publicly known or whatever. But as far as I know, he's not. I don't. But regardless, there's flaws. Someone actually went and found a few things on Twitter about like how there are some people calling her out, saying, "Oh, this isn't even the person she claims to be." Some people are thinking that she's using this for clout because she's promoting her own music now and everything. Now that she's gotten this attention and all that, which that could be, and if it is, it's eerily similar to. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the artist Melanie Martinez, but she's an alternative artist, and I'm only familiar with her because I dated someone who was obsessed with her. But she was involved in this scandal where she, people were saying like, oh, Melanie basically raped me or assaulted me or what have you, and the accusations turned out to be false, and at the time, the person was using that attention that they were getting to promote their own music, their own career, and different.
Yeah.
So while these, it's not likely for someone to be lying about something like that. 75% of accusations, I believe it's 75%. It might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. I'm not entirely sure on the statistic of that, but generally speaking, these things, when people come out about this stuff, it is true. But there is still that percentage. There are people that do take advantage of these kind of things and lie for whatever reason or what have you. But again, and I can see on the other end how he could be guilty because he's had issues with alcohol in the past. He's had multiple DUIs and different things like that, and apparently has served a little bit of time for things like that, as well as
he has, yes.
Yeah, as well. Oh, you've done your research as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I've seen like 1 or 2 pictures of his mugshot.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're looking pretty rough there, bud.
Yeah, I know he looks like he got beat up or something, to be honest.
Man.
But I mean,
pretty rough.
Yeah, so things like that. But and to me, that kind of goes back a little bit to the thing about I like. Be them fictional or real. I want my heroes to be human, because I don't think that a celebrity of any kind should be perfect, right? How can you really relate to and understand someone that's perfect anyway? Now, granted, if someone does horrible things, like if one of the things he's been accused of course as well, is sleeping with minors. There's no kind of real basis to go on for that. I can see if that's possible, because he does, or at least used to, tend to have a younger audience of fans, and the allegations have been about when he was 20, apparently sleeping with like 15-year-olds or something like that. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of at the point where I'm not really accepting things one way or the other. I'm hoping, of course, that it's not true. But for me, I would rather know, because I don't want to live in denial about it. I would, if it turns out that my hero for all these years is a piece of shit, I'd rather know that. I'd rather know. But at the same time, I do believe in things like separating the art from the artist and things like that. So, I don't know where this is gonna go, if it's gonna go anywhere. I just know that I've kept up with the dude for a long time, and I know a lot of stuff that kind of isn't necessarily knowledge that everybody knows about, that's finding out about these stories and stuff. So, I don't know. There's just, and I don't know, to me, like, have you noticed that I do think that Corona and people having so much time to kind of just chill does have to do with this. Have you noticed how much kind of the idea of canceling people has really kind of like been blowing up? I mean, even, I'm not sure if you're, like, even Jenna Marbles canceled herself. And she didn't need to. She's a pretty good person, but like,
Cancel.
Well, yeah, so I guess I should clarify, because I typically don't like cancel culture. And let me clarify what cancel culture is. First of all, I'll talk about what it's not. Cancel culture is not comedians not being able to perform at a college because the students don't want them to perform. That's not cancel culture, right? Because they don't like their jokes or what have you. That's deplatforming. That's a whole other different thing, right? That's not cancel culture.
Sure, okay.
But canceling is where, like, people within your community in some way turn against you for something that you said, something that you did, something you might have allegedly did. It's quite honestly, cancel culture is a modern day witch hunt, because it's people in the community turning against you for something that you allegedly did, or maybe did do and apologized for, or something like that. And I first saw this last year with Pro Jared, who is a video game reviewer and such. He basically had similar allegations that similar to what Drake's having, except it was all online. His thing turned out to be that it was not true. And I don't know, my thing in general is I try to wait until there's legitimate kind of evidence and stuff to go on, right? Mm-hmm. Especially when I'm not sure if you're familiar with the situation with like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, but that's a shit show. That's a crazy mess.
That's a whole nother story.
I mean, it really is. Basically what it came down to was so the story goes from what I understand.
Yo,
that she was
I actually heard that she's like
crazy?
Like mentally insane.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, that's part of it. But yeah, apparently she would inflict like damage on herself and try to make it look like it was the way it was Johnny. She has history of doing really crazy things in other past relationships she's been in. She has history of violence toward her sister and all these other different things. And it's a bunch of
Jesus Christ.
It's a fucking mess. Gosh. It really is. And again, I do want to clarify. I know, of course, a lot of people unfortunately do suffer abusive relationships. I've been in an abusive relationship myself, and it's not healthy when people are in those, but it's not fair to anyone to kind of just immediately jump to the accuser's offense, because this kind of thing happens as well with I'm citation needed because I don't know, I can't remember exactly what the story was, but there was a woman who was cheating on her boyfriend with people from the football team in college. They were black, and she said that they raped her. Well, they didn't, but also partly because our justice system is fucked, and they thought, oh, black people rape white people, we're sending you to jail. That's basically what happened. When in actuality, she just, she cheated, and she didn't want to, fess up for it, and it's shitty. I mean, it's really shitty when these things happen. And of course, we can talk about the racist justice system and all that stuff too. That's all very fucked up as well. But there's a lot of, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a big believer in innocent till proven guilty, and people will argue on that and say, well, that doesn't apply to the court of public opinion. That just applies to to me, it should apply to the court of public opinion, but whatever. I don't know. There's always more than one. There's always more than one side to a story. That's my thing too. I think it's always important to hear.
There's always two sides.
There's always at least depending on how big the story is. There's always. I don't know. So but I mean, I don't know. Just the idea of not allowing someone to kind of grow from mistakes that they've made or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mess. I don't know. I could go on and on about this stuff, and I probably will, but right now I think I've spoken enough for a bit.
Nah, man, it's good stuff. Good stuff. It educates the non-educated about said subject or whatever other subject is being talked about.